Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a video dedicated to our veterans and those that are currently active military duty. This video is for you. We're going to be talking about some of the things that you should know when it comes to using your VA loan to purchase a home right here in Florida. Some things that are advantages and some things that you just need to make sure that you're aware of. Now, half of my clientele are military, whether it be active duty or veterans as far as they are retired. And these are some common things that have come up in my time of helping many veterans purchase a home here in Florida that I just want to make sure that you're aware of. Some things are really, really good and some things you just need to be aware of, okay? Now, I thought I'd give you a really cool backdrop today. This is actually the USS Orlick DD 886 is actually serving as a historic naval ship museum right here in downtown Jacksonville. As you know, Jacksonville is the home to two military bases, technically three. So we have NAX Jax, we have Mayport as well, and then we have another station where many of those that are in the Coast Guard and the Air Force sometimes actually report to near the airport, Jacksonville Airport International. So we have a lot of military clientele here, and we just want to make sure that you have all the information to make an informed home buying decision. So we're going to dive into that today. And before we even go any further, I just want to take a moment again and say thank you so much for your service. I know it is a sacrifice and a commitment to serve your country in the manner that you have. So thank you. My father is also retired military, retired Navy. He is a retired, make sure I get it right, chief petty officer, and my brother also is a former Air Force as well. So I definitely know the sacrifices that are involved, and I just want to say thank you for your service and your commitment to your country. And we're going to make sure we get you squared away today to get you the right information to make an informed home buying decision when purchasing a home right here in beautiful Northeast Florida.
Jacksonville, being brand the gorgeous riverfront city, has so much to offer no matter what your stage of life. So whether you're raising your young family or whether you're looking to retire and just looking to be by the river, we have so much to offer, from coastal living with miles of pristine beaches to historic neighborhoods such as San Marco, Avondale, downtown St. Augustine. Of course, we have a range of live events, from sporting events, football, basketball, you name it, as well as we have some of the top-rated medical care in the country, including Mayo Clinic. Now, let's not forget some of our master plan communities anchored right in St. Johns County, where you can have access to resort-style living every day in beautiful, historic downtown St. Augustine that is just a stone throw away from Jacksonville, less than 30 miles. So much to offer here. Let's dive into how you can make this beautiful paradise home.
Hey guys, sorry the sun has quickly set on us right here on the beautiful downtown riverfront here in Jacksonville. I'll try to talk as fast as possible so it doesn't get too dark on us, but we can cover these 4 major points of things that you just need to know. Now, some of this are really great things and some things is just like a moment of pause, so just so you're aware of it before diving into purchasing a home. For those that may be new to this channel, I want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Kashira Francis, aka Francis. I am a Florida licensed real estate agent, licensed throughout the state of Florida. I've been doing this for over 6 years. Half of my clients are military veterans and or active duty that we help either when they're getting PCSing here, or a lot of my customers actually are military retired. They want to take advantage of having no state income tax, as far as no state tax, I should say, as well as taking advantage of some of our property tax savings that exist here in Florida. So I'm happy to be that resource to walk you through the process, to make sure you have all the information to make an informed decision. My job is not to sell you. My job is to inform you so you can make a decision, whether it be to buy a home, sell a home, invest in this area that you're comfortable with and that you're confident about. And that's where I'm here to help. So if that's something you're interested in, please be sure to reach out. In the meantime, if you're still doing your research, just push like, actually subscribe, and push that the bell button. That way, anytime a new video comes out, you're the first to be notified, okay? Now, let's jump into one of the first things that actually appeals to people, particularly my retirees that are veterans here in the state of Florida, which is Florida is one of the few states that offer actually an exemption on your property tax if you have 100% disability or even a portion of disability, okay? So let's just say on the average home, you would pay about, say for an average home of I'll make up a number, $500,000. Your property tax will probably be around $400 a month, okay? $400 to $450 tops. Let's just say tops. We'll say 400 for an even number, okay? Well, with you having 100% military disability, you could potentially have a great portion of that $400 completely forgiven for as far as because of your service and your dedication. Okay, so Florida honors the fact that you have served and that you were injured in the line of duty, etc. So they will forgive a great portion of that 400 and either exempt it completely, or you just have a small portion to pay. Say out of that 400, maybe you pay $100 or $75. But it's a significant savings that many of my veterans actually love to take advantage of. For those that maybe don't have 100% disability, maybe you only have 50% disability, in most of our counties, they still will offer you some break on your property tax that many of my veterans love to take advantage of. All right. Now let's go to our point 2. Now, there's 3 main components when it comes to using your VA loan. Let me insert, this is not a point, but this is a side note. I have my veterans call me all the time and they're like, oh, I want to purchase new construction, or do you have a loan officer that does VA loans? Guys, any legitimate bank and or mortgage broker loan officer, everyone does a VA loan, okay? Now, how skilled they are, when I say skilled, like how in-depth their knowledge is of, DD 214, of your using your certificate of eligibility, etc. Some just are a little more seasoned when it comes to things that may be complicated, like if you have a bankruptcy where you use your VA loan, but you have a bankruptcy on your certificate of eligibility. Some of them are a little more in depth on how to navigate those things, but every loan officer does a VA loan. There's one of the 4 major loans, which is conventional, FHA, VA, and USDA. Okay, so everybody does a VA loan. So even if you went to a builder and let's just say they're offering these great incentives, which I, very much a fan of, they have VA loans as an option. Okay. But my point, let's go to our point 2. That was a side note. Okay. Point 2, guys, is with VA loans, right? Some of my veterans will think because you have no down payment, right? You have the option of no down payment, that some kind of way they're going to get a house for free. Not exactly at all. Okay. Now, I have had more than a few of my veterans walk away from the closing table with cash in their hand, but there was some things that had to take place. So when you're using your VA loan, just remember, when you're purchasing a home, there's 3 major financial outputs. So first there's going to be, so if we find a house that you absolutely love, we're going to have something called your earnest money or your deposit, or what we consider as, in layman's terms, your collateral. So you see a house, you say, hey, I want to write a contract on that house. I love it. I want to move forward with it. The builder or the seller is like, great, glad you love our house. We're going to need some collateral, which would be your deposit, aka earnest money, right? It's not your down payment. You're just giving them some collateral. Like, let me hold your watch. If you're serious about my house, you're not going to give them a watch, people. I'm using it as an analogy. Okay. Let me get some collateral to hold while you're saying you're going to go get a loan or you're going to use your VA loan to purchase my house. I need some collateral. I need a contract and some collateral, which ranges from typically around 1% of the sales price, but it can vary from seller to builder depending on the purchase price. Okay. So for a house that's $500,000, typically builders and or sellers may expect, you can offer whatever you want, they may expect to, at the time of contract, by the time you signing your name and you all coming to an agreement, guys, I'm still Southern, so I say y'all sometimes. Between you guys coming to an agreement, they may expect at the time of contract to have $5,000 for the title company to hold as collateral until your loan and financing is cleared. Okay. Now that $5,000 is still going towards the purchase of your home. It's not like free money that they can use. The title company is holding it in escrow until the loan has completely cleared, and that money then becomes a part of your closing costs. Okay. As far as it's deducted from your closing costs. Okay. So you have your earnest money deposit, aka collateral. Then you will have potentially, okay, down payment, right? Now your VA, so you don't have to put down a down payment. The VA is promising you 100% financing that they will cover the cost. However, some of my veterans, to keep their monthly payment low, they will still offer some money towards their down payment, because they say the less you finance, of course, the less your monthly payment will be. Okay, and then you have your third component, which is your closing costs, which is the fees to transfer the house basically from the builder's name or the seller's name to your name. So the tax, the deed stamps, the deed, the attorney fees, the processing fees, the insurance, the taxes, all that. Here in the state of Florida, on average, closing costs is around 3.5% of the sales price. Okay. Now, the kicker for that, for VA veterans and people that are using the VA loans, unless you have at least 10% disability, so you have to have a minimum of 10% disability, your closing costs will be higher. You're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you know how the VA says, we'll 100% finance the loan. Well, they still have something that they add into your closing costs called a VA funding fee. All right, which is anywhere from 1.25% of your sales price to 2% of your sales price. So some veterans are shocked when they see that their closing costs is 3.5% plus another 1.5% with a VA funding fee. I think my last customer, their VA funding fee was like $8,000. So it can get up there. So if you don't have at least 10% disability, you need to be prepared that your closing costs will be higher, okay? Because you'll have a VA funding fee added to your 3.5% in closing costs, okay? So when people are like, oh, I got my VA loan, I can basically get a house for free, you still will have closing costs. Now, remember, let's just say at the beginning of your earnest money, your collateral you put down at the beginning, you got that $5,000 that's been sitting in escrow. They'll then take that $5,000 minus it from that, say, 4% in closing costs that you have to pay to transfer the home from the seller's name or builder name to your name. They'll take that 5,000 off, right? Because it's sitting in escrow. And then let's just say you only then owe 15,000 or 10,000, okay? Which brings me to my next point. For those that may be a little lacking in liquid cash, you're like, hey, I really want to buy a house. I want to take advantage of not having as much tax on my retirement funds or my military retirement. By living in the state of Florida, I want to take advantage of this whole exempt from property tax, but I don't have 4% or 5% of the sales price to pay in closing costs to pay a VA funding fee, and I don't have 10%, at least 10% disability. Well, be not be dismayed. One great option is to take advantage of new construction here in St. Johns County or Jacksonville or Nassau County with one of our new construction builders that are offering you, say, $10,000 to $15,000 towards closing costs on one of their quick move-in homes. Now, typically, these incentives, guys, are only on homes that are going to be ready within the next 30 to 90 days, not on something you want to build from the ground up and you want to customize the home. They cannot offer you those kind of incentives. But if you're saying, okay, right now the interest rates for VA is around 6%, well, many of my customers are getting rates as low as 3.99 or 4.99, right? And getting, say, 10 to 15,000 towards closing costs. So they're getting their rate bought down from the standard rate that is currently offered to getting $10,000 to $15,000 towards closing costs. So then instead of having to pay 4.5% or 5%, say, in closing costs, they're only having to bring 1% or 1.5% of the sales price to the closing table because the builder is covering most of it. Now, you still may be having some of these opportunities when it comes to private sellers, but typically builders have deeper pockets because they're basically saying, well, hey, if you buy one of our quick move-in homes and use one of our preferred lenders, where they basically have a deal, they'll make the money back with the mortgage, right? We'll give you this extra money up front, right? And they make it back through the loan. Now, you do still have to use their preferred lender, okay? Let's be clear on that. All right, let's jump on to this is technically our third thing, all right? Let's look at the third thing that often comes up when it comes to VA loan and veterans using their VA.
We are almost out of time. We have one other point, so you want to be sure to stay tuned. If you're enjoying this video so far, please be sure to show your support, pushing like and push that notification bell.
Guys, I have to tell you, this one is kind of funny. So, and working with so many veterans and working with different builders, come to find out, guys, veterans have not the best reputation with local home builders here in our area. Many have said over and over again that veterans have these very high taste level, or they want basically champagne taste on a beer budget, okay? So I said all that to say, before you go start diving into looking at homes on Zillow and Realtor.com and all of that, please, 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 guys, use the mortgage calculator to figure out first, based on your income and based on what you're comfortable with paying, what is a home value that you're comfortable with, okay? So I've had veterans go out and start looking at $700,000 and $800,000 houses with no kind of like pre-approval, not realizing the mortgage payment on these homes that they were looking at is over $6,000, okay? So you really need to make sure you first start with meeting with a loan officer, get clear about what's affordable for you. So maybe you could qualify for over $800,000 to $1 million or whatever, but do you want to pay that monthly payment? You need to get clear about what you may have $1 million taste, but you want to make sure your income match your $1 million taste. You want to make sure your income match what you are hoping for to purchase, okay? So again, mortgagecalculator.com. Bankrate is one of my favorites. I'm not endorsed by them. They don't give me any money, but I found that to be the most streamlined one that you can use, where you can calculate, get a roundabout estimate of interest rate and how much your mortgage payment would be, including property tax. Guys, you got to put that in there. If you don't have the disability we already talked about, you need to include homeowners insurance, which on average for new construction homes or homes that's been built in the last 5 to 7 years will be no more than $100, $150 a month, to including any HOA fees to CDD fees, etc. As well, okay? So you have a whole picture of what that monthly payment will look like. All right, guys. Now, I hope you found this information helpful. Now, I'm here to walk you through the process. 50% of my customers are VA loan veterans and actually active duty. So I've done this a lot. I've run into all different scenarios, credit situations, financing situations. So I have the expertise to make sure you get to the finish line with the least amount of stress possible. So don't hesitate to reach out. Now, if you're just new to this channel and you're still just discovering more about Jacksonville, I have another video for you to watch as far as 5 things you should know before moving here to Northeast Florida. I'm going to put that video up next. And thanks again for being here.
Click on the video tab to pull up our full catalog of videos.